From the students of Penn State Meteorology, here is your Penn State Campus Weather Service forecast.
Good Monday afternoon. I'm student meteorologist Jacob Morse, tracking Hurricane Dorian, which is still a very strong Category 4 hurricane just off the coast of Florida right now. Here's the latest update for you. Winds at 155 miles per hour, just below the standard for a Category 5 hurricane. Pressure at 922 millibars, very strong storm still. And this is the key. The movement is only at 1 miles per hour to the west-northwest, practically stationary as it sits over the Grand Bahama Island, battering the area right there. Freeport seeing all the winds of the eye wall, the very, very strong winds just outside the eye, battering the city of Freeport right now as it sits practically stationary over the Grand Bahama Island just off the coast of West Palm Beach in Florida. So here's your current watches and warnings as we see hurricane warnings all up along parts of the coastline of Florida right now. Hurricane watches up towards the Jacksonville area as this storm still is expected to make a northward turn in the coming days and will spare the Florida coastline from the worst of the damage. That doesn't mean it won't be spared from any damage. Lots of storm surge and gusty winds are still expected for most areas along the Florida coastline as this storm rides up the coast. So let's jump right into the National Hurricane Center's official forecasted track. By the morning hours tomorrow at 8 a.m., not moving a whole lot, still a Category 4 storm off the coast of Florida with 145 mile per hour winds. As this system tracks towards the north, towards Daytona Beach, it will be very close. Making landfall on the Space Coast around Cape Canaveral still is not out of the question. It does seem unlikely at this point, but that area is still in the forecasted cone of uncertainty. Category 3 storm by Wednesday at 8 a.m. and then moving up towards the Georgia coastline by Thursday morning and up towards Charleston, South Carolina as a Category 2 hurricane. Still a very strong and dangerous storm as it moves up towards North Carolina, possibly making landfall in the Outer Banks of North Carolina on Friday morning as a Category 2 storm. But nonetheless, even if this storm does not make landfall, the storm surge is going to be one of the primary impacts for all residents that live from central Florida all the way up towards the Outer Banks of North Carolina as this storm will be packing its punch, delivering dangerous levels of storm surge. That's why mandatory evacuations are already in place for parts of South Carolina, North Carolina, coastal Georgia, as well as for parts of Florida. So please heed these evacuations and take shelter as you can because this storm will be packing its punch as it moves up the southeastern United States coast. So this is a water vapor satellite imagery. It's typically a good idea for us to look at to see if there's any steering winds that will influence this storm in the coming days. And not a whole lot right now showing up on this water vapor image. We can see we have a trough up towards the Atlanta area. This is only one part of the reason why Dorian is pretty much stationary right now. We'll give you another look at why this storm has been stationary over the past 24 hours and why it will make its turn towards the north in the coming days. So here's an upper air setup. This is showing that there's no real steering winds to move Dorian. Dorian's right here sitting practically stationary over the next 24 to 48 hours. But as we fast forward this towards Tuesday night and into Wednesday morning, a ridge develops over the Atlantic Ocean, and with the clockwise flow around that high, that will push Dorian towards the north on Wednesday and Thursday, with those winds pushing the storm towards the north, up the coastline of Georgia and into the Carolinas. And it could possibly make landfall by Thursday afternoon and into Thursday night in the Wilmington, North Carolina, towards the Outer Banks area. So that is still something we have to watch out for. So these are two of our most reliable computer models, the American or the GFS model and the European or the Euro model, each highlighted in its different colors, white and yellow on this map right here. So as we fast forward this in time, we can see that both models are in relative agreement that the center of the storm will remain just off the coast of Florida. Again, we saw this with Matthew a few years ago. Just because the center of the storm does not make landfall does not mean that the areas along the coastline and a little bit inland won't be spared from any of the impacts from the storm. Lots of storm surge on the northern side of this storm, and at least tropical storm force winds, if not Category 1 or Category 2 strength winds along the coastline of the southeastern United States as the center of this storm tracks up towards South Carolina and North Carolina. Both the European and the American models have landfall for this storm in the North Carolina area by Thursday night and into Friday morning as this system tracks up towards the north and the east. So we will continue to have coverage of Dorian throughout the rest of the day today here at the Campus Weather Service, and we'll also be live on Facebook tonight at 6 p.m., so make sure you tune into that as we continue to cover Hurricane Dorian. Thanks for watching, everyone.